What's happening, everybody? All right, so we've been keeping up with the Ford Galaxy, sort of vlogging on it. And what my main objective was is I got that car and we're going to get it running, but I wasn't sure. There's a big show coming up in November, and so I was like, well, maybe I can get this car going in time for that. So we kind of just got to a point where we know it's going to run. I've got to fix a few other pieces and parts. It's going to take some time to get in, especially, it takes a little time to order stuff. So to be sure that we make our normal run, this bike that's behind me here, as you can see, it swells. Let's see. Well, I'll show you in just a second about that. Does really well, but I'm always making improvements on this thing. And I'll explain what we're getting ready to get into and some of the things that we're going to do. And we'll have it ready for November. This will be what we'll focus our attention on until we get this done, which we'll definitely be ready by November, which is a few weekends away. I get time on the weekends to do this. I'm at work a lot. If you watch my other channels or this channel here, I'm at work, running that shop quite a bit. So I get time on the weekends to do this. But I think we can work pretty efficiently through this. And let me give you a little rundown of what's going on here, what we have. And let me flip the camera around right quick, okay? Just a real quick, with my dirty camera, let me just wipe this off. I apologize for that. Let me get here working. When you're working, your fingers just get dirty. And you touch things. There we go. It's a little better. There's my ATC 250 SX shaft drive behind it, but in front of it. So we've got one motor, two motors, three motor, four. Okay. Running into, let me get back a little bit here. They all sort of run together, which means you're pulling one, you're pulling them all. So it takes more than one person to crank it. And, it really does. Two people can do it, but it's doable, but it's a little tough, especially when it wants to be a little temperamental, because getting one of those carburetors to work half right is feeding into itself. The exhaust comes out down here at the bottom. I ran out of room because that's an alternator off of a Ford, like a 78 Ford. Right up underneath here is the voltage regulator. That's a fuel pump that would normally run a little Toyota pickup, low pressure, rattly pump. Does great to feed all four carburetors. Gravity feed just wasn't enough to get out here to the end. The heart behind the whole machine, you've got four motors running together. This larger pulley overdrives this smaller pulley, which will give me RPMs to equivalate so I can get highway speed without having to really over rev these motors. They can run at a nice, comfortable, governed 3,600 RPM is what they're designed to run at. And so I can run them at that and not have to worry about trying to get highway speed out of it due to the way I've overdriven this transmission, which is an ATC, I'll give you a little secret, guys. This would have been the three-wheeler from the handlebars would have came up. I cut that off and sort of stacked a little bit of plate steel up so I could get this thing high enough to where it needed to be, and just used that section of three-wheeler to make the back half out of it. And it was a hardtail three-wheeler, so I had to kind of fab up the swing arm design. And that gives me 5 gears, and I have a shifter up here. This is my shifter. This is what operates the gears, selects the gears via these cables that run down and go up to this little bar here, which is, I don't know if I can get it in shot. It's kind of dark. The lighting is not too there we go. I don't know if you can see that moving or not. I'm moving the camera too. But that gives me my gears. And a chain drive to go back to this rear end. And the charging system works to keep the headlight, the fuel pump, and other things going. There's a little battery that keeps the alternator rolling along back there with this regulator that's under the gas tank. And as you can see, I just dissected this motor and got rid of the top half of it and just used the crankshaft, balanced it with a bolt. Once I cut the connector, I just cut the connecting rod off with a torch. Sure did. And it works. And I've got, like I say, a 5-speed transmission, which was a 200cc three-wheeler motor. Nice because that would have been where you normally would have started it. Where the belt is over here is where you would have cranked the thing. This is where the starter would have been. You'd have pulled a pull cord and crunk it up. So it was already exposed to the environment, which means all I need to do is just drive that thing. Gives me my... So that's the GSX-R, like a 750 rear swing arm right there. Three-wheeler shocks that were left over off of stuff. Front half of the three-wheeler. Made the seat myself with some plywood and some foam, and it's actually kind of comfortable. I even got it where it contours in, and it'll hold my wife. It actually holds weight really well. I could put a friend of mine who's rather large on it and ride around. And oh, shock absorber. Shock absorber. There's my throttle linkage. That's what runs the throttle linkage there. Okay. It's designed just like a mixer would have been on an old school two-stroke. I just dissected the center section out of the shocks, out of the shock, and the piston inside of it to hold all four of my cables that go in back over here. So that gave me an ability to pull all four throttle cables. And the double block pulley gives me a ratio, because you don't get a lot of adjustment down here. You don't get a lot of where the cables go in down under here. A little bit is a lot on these motors. So to give me range of movement without having like wide open and idle and wide open and idle, you know, I run it through a double block, and that slows it down a little bit, just splits the ratio, and then that gives me range of movement for my throttle. So it's smooth, accelerates really smooth. And there's videos of me running this thing. I've got them on my channel here. You can look up on My 4More Motorcycle on my channel, and you'll see me, my wife and I riding it around, and me riding it, you know, and you can see what it sounds like and how it functions. But there's a few things I want to do. I want to see if I can make this thing easier to start. And so I've got a few ideas that I'm going to try. We'll see how it works, guys. This could be an epic fail. And when it's all said and done, I've got some carburetors that would normally work on a three-wheeler, like a 110 or one of those smaller three-wheelers that has the same bolt pattern as this bolt right here for this flange on this manifold. And I have a total of 4 of those carburetors. And I'm anticipating that they'll fit and they'll work, and that will actually help meter my fuel a little more efficiently. And because there's a lot more motor to this bike here, but with these carburetors were designed to run at a steady RPM, you know, so coming up through the RPMs, you know, and pulling and all that, they weren't designed for that. And the floats are kind of bouncy if you get to bouncing, so it will drip a little gas here and there. So to really finalize this thing, you'll see, I don't know if that's going to work. I don't know if we'll get all that time to do it. You know, there's a good chance that at least I can get this thing a little easier to start with the few ideas that I'm going to put in place. And I'm not going to reveal anything until I see it kind of, they'll vlog along for this, but I'm going to put this up now so you can get an idea of what's going on and how things are coming with it. So we're going to try. I don't know. It's trial and error with me, you know. Anyway, so thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Lots of love. God is in control.